Are we in the midst of a creator renaissance? Let's find out on this episode of Association Chat. Are we in the midst of a creative and creator renaissance? Welcome to Association Chat. Association Chat, where we warm ourselves by the virtual fire with topics of the day, welcoming thought leaders and trailblazers alike to join up in this online home for the community. I'm the host of Association Chat, Kiki L'Italienne, and before we get started, thank you. Thank you to all of the Patreon supporters out there who help keep this show running. To become a Patreon patron, just visit patreon.com/association chat. I think your pets will love you more. I will love you more. This is something that will just make the world a better place. Can I say that? I'm saying that. So visit patreon.com/association chat. And now on to the show. Okay, so I'm really super excited about this one because we are in the midst of a creator renaissance, and our guest, Vivian Chan, is ready for it. Vivian believes that disruption often starts at the intersection of things, with many of the best ideas coming from outside one's immediate domain or industry. I agree with that thought. As a technology executive, Vivian has been involved in the launch, monetization, sales, and marketing management for 3 different waves of disruptive technologies: analytics, cloud, and AR/VR, the intersection of 3D and AI. With more than 20 years of experience working with companies of all sizes, Vivian has been focused on scaling high-growth startups over the past few years, and currently, Vivian is the global head of digital sales at NexTech AR Solutions, the leading virtual experience platform that combines enterprise-scale virtual events with the enchantment of augmented reality. Welcome, Vivian.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my gosh. So I know, I was giving the spiel, I was sharing all of the good work that you've done, but you've had an incredible career. I mean, and it's just getting started, but it's like you have already done so much. And I think that the work that we are talking about today is super exciting. So let's just start out and pretend like no one knows anything, and because that's not such a big stretch for me all the time. Let's start out by talking about XR. So what are we talking about when we're talking about XR?
Yeah, extended reality, the acronym is XR, is basically the next wave of experiencing computers. It's a bit of a spectrum. So on one side of the spectrum is what you probably heard, virtual reality. You wear a headset and you're completely encompassed in a fully digital environment. So a lot of gaming applications, a lot of learning applications are in virtual reality because you're transported virtually to a digital place. Like everything's digital. On the other side of the spectrum is augmented reality, and that's this place that I've been living in over the last 8 years. Augmented reality is essentially layering digital information or digital elements into the real world using your mobile phone or your tablet. So you're able to see digital information overlaid into the real world. Now, moving into the middle, where everything is starting to kind of converge, is what we call mixed reality. Mixed reality is also through a wearable or a headset, so usually through glasses. Snapchat's launching some. HoloLens has had these glasses. These glasses allow you to, again, view digital information into the real world, but one day there's going to be a button that's going to be like fully virtual or virtually, and so you'll be able to kind of swap between the 2 modes. So this is kind of the future that we're heading in.
Well, so, what's exciting, working with associations, I have the chance to talk to people who are working in every facet you can imagine. They're representing associations that represent every industry. So, when I think about the application of all of these different, when I think about all of the audience members out there who are using this in their, or going to use this in their organizations, I get excited and I start thinking, okay, so what are they going to do and how are they going to apply it first and who's already applying it? And so, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about has been, it started out as sort of this science fiction,
Mhm.
future reality. And then we saw it more and more in, when we started thinking about Google Glass and we started thinking about, are people actually going to use it? When is it going to be something that
Mhm.
is more than just the lawnmower man
Mhm.
type stuff?
Mhm.
Where are we now in that whole process of things being incorporated? Because I'm seeing more and more people talk about it. I'm definitely seeing it incorporated into ads and stuff now. Where are we, Vivian?
Gosh, it's hard to say because every year everyone in the industry is like, this is the year that it's going to be huge. And it's like,
Right.
is it yet?
I'm
Is it
waiting.
huge yet? Is it huge
Yeah.
yet? A couple of things why we're so excited about this. I'll kind of explain why there's a lot of people that think this is going to be huge. There's actually a very rational argument besides just loving technology.
Mm-hmm.
I love the value of technology. I don't love technology itself, and so that's something I want to preface. Right now, the tech industry has put a lot of time and investment in the next device. We've actually run out of phones to sell. There's 14.9 billion mobile phones in the world,
Wow.
and only 7.9 billion people.
Wow. Wow.
So this thing is oversaturated, and this
Yeah.
thing is probably like, they can probably only do so much with this thing. Like the innovation for a mobile phone now is very incremental. Like, I'm not buying a phone every year anymore. Like you're buying it every 3 to 5 years, right? so
Yeah.
so so the next generation of device that creates a different kind of value is definitely going to be the eyewear, the glasses. And the reason why eyewear is going to be valuable is that I'll give you a perfect futurist example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of encompasses it. So let's say you're driving, your car breaks down, you're stuck in the side of the road, and you're like, "Oh God, like there's steam coming out of the transmission. Like, what do we do?" Well, today you would take out your phone and you would like Google it and be like, "Okay, steam out of transmission. What could those things be?" And you probably go to YouTube and like figure out how to like fix it or call someone, right? Well, in the future, again, I'm probably thinking 3 to 5 years out. You will have an eyewear, that where you can basically say remote assist. You literally say remote assist, and then you can pick from a number of, let's say, creators. And let's say your mechanic has a remote assist option. Your mechanic can literally live stream in and view the situation with you, and you'll see a hologram of your mechanic, and they'll be like, okay, this is kind of what you do, and they can motion gesture what you need to do to
Wow.
fix things. This is
Yeah.
why layering digital information into the real world has real impactful value, because it's now interactive
Mm-hmm.
and two-way. Right now, this is a one-way communication. So basically, Google is going 3D one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see how that would be, I guess with telehealth being such a big deal during the pandemic and everything, and we discovered, so many people were saying at the time, like, oh, I've wanted this for so long, I've wanted this ability for so long, and it's like, oh, genie's out of the bottle, now we know that the doctors can do it, are we ever going to go back? And the truth is what you're talking about makes it a lot easier for people to be seen, makes it a lot easier for people to get help. And hey, heads up, makes it a lot easier for us to charge for different things, different types of expertise in a way that we haven't before. And I think that that's incredible, but and it's a big but when are we really? When are we all going to be ready for it? And yeah.
Mhm. So there's stuff that we can do today, and there's stuff that we can't do today. And I can give you a couple of examples. So
Okay.
I would say that augmented reality today is a very, very good storytelling tool. In the context of associations, we've worked with, like the Canadian Institute of Mining is an example where they took human holograms, product holograms, and they layered that into their they layered it into their virtual event. But in future, everything's going back to hybrid or physical. I'm so excited. So excited to see humans again. And while technology is great, it does not replace content, and it does not replace relationships. It's only a tool that hopefully facilitates better connection and better sharing of information. So I always say this: technology is not going to solve everything. It is good and it's bad. We talked about it earlier, right? Like fire was one of the first tools of humankind. Well, fire can be bad and fire can be good. Fire is not good when you cause a forest fire, but it's very good when you heat up your house when it's -5 Fahrenheit. So technology is just the same, and we're gonna have to figure it out as we go along. But it's an incredible storytelling tool, and so what it's done for a lot of our association event producers is that it's created storytelling moments at their events. People are looking to come, be entertained, be inspired, feel connected, and so some use cases where it's worked incredibly well is that we've had sponsored moments with human holograms. So you may have the president of the association come as a hologram, a surprise moment sponsored by your platinum sponsor to say a few words in holographic format. So that president is in 70 to 1,000 different places at the same time. So like, what a cool little shared moment. We also are using sort of holograms for products. So let's say if your association is selling, for instance, heavy equipment. Well, it's hard to bring a heavy equipment into a trade show floor because the drayage is so expensive. Like, it's so heavy that it's not cost effective. Well, you can hologram that rigger, that 50-ton rig. You can hologram it, and so people at the convention site can activate a QR code and see the rig and look at all the details. And people who are signing up at home who aren't ready to travel yet, or just don't have the time to, can also experience this notion of demoing and trying a product. And so it's given sponsors, vendors, creatives a mechanism to create experiences and tell stories in fresh and new ways.
So I've been seeing, a lot of speakers during the pandemic starting to figure out ways that they can, do what they do and still remain, get paid, even though they couldn't travel and be in person because these in-person events weren't happening. Mm-hmm. And I saw where it caused them to start to explore in a lot of, directions technology wise where they hadn't before. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you saw, and because everyone was talking about it, the Tony Robbins thing with the room full of all the TVs and everybody's watching. Mm-hmm. So do you think that professional speakers are going to be in a virtual studio in the future where it's recording them so that they can beam themselves everywhere? What do you think is going to happen with that?
100%. And actually, we have a Tony Robbins connection. So Paul Duffy, the president of our company, was the founder of Art Media. So he was the one that was creating Tony Robbins holograms for physical events around the world. He literally created stages where Tony Robbins was beamed into, 17 different locations. And so Tony was able to share his message, his learning, his really powerful motivational speaking to more than one place in one go. And so it was very, very effective. Paul moved over to NexTech because he believed that the future of sort of holographic technology was going to be, on the phone or in the eyewear. And so he started to build holographic technology for those use cases. And so we're starting to work with speakers already. The last one we did was actually with our CEO. He did a live streaming hologram for like an investor presentation. So he
Oh,
literally
wow.
was like live on a green screen environment. Soon those green screens may be just like removed to make it even more accessible. But right now with the green screen and some basic equipment like a DSLR, you can literally film and convert that video into a hologram. And so he literally was in like 70 places at the same time. And that's the value for speakers. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to go city to city to city. You literally can do it once and be in multiple places, and people actually feel a sense of connection to your being there.
Yeah, I mean, honest to God, I did not know that the CEO had any, your CEO had anything to do with it. So that was just an example I thought of. But it is something that I think, if no matter who you are, what you're trying to do, it really does seem like we're sort of jumping into that point where there's no turning back now of embracing newer and newer technology. Now, what should association professionals know right now about XR? Because there are so many different choices, there's so many different ways to go for an association executive who's listening right now and thinking, what do I need to know right now compared to all of the news stories? And if I
Yeah.
Google XR right now, what's the most important thing?
So the thing I would say, having just, I've been so fortunate, like NexTech works with over 1,000 associations, and I've had some of the best conversations with community builders. Like, association leaders really understand what's valuable to their communities. Nothing's changed. And the thing I would say is, your community, what's the content
Yeah.
that you want to lead with, and can technology be a tool to articulate that content in new and fresh ways? Can technology give you added sponsorship options to sell, to advertisers and sponsors that keep the community going? Because it's expensive, to manage and support community. It comes at a cost. And so how can technology be in service of what you do versus feeling like you got to keep up with the technology? You don't. It's like technology is here to serve you in your narrative, in your business goals, in your fundraising, not the other way around.
And while you were talking, I went ahead and I put a link at the bottom. Those who are listening to this later, you can look in the show notes. But this is for a link to go to the registration page for an upcoming conference. Can you? I know I kind of jumped the gun, but I figured since I put the link up there, I want to explain what this is. So there's a conference coming up for NexTech. So people who want to learn more about this and find out more, they can go here. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we're hosting kind of a big party, an online party called Live Now. And we're super excited because we've got Gary V, who's gonna like motivate us and get us all jazzed up about just being better, doing things better. And Gary V is a big proponent of sort of again using new technology in valuable ways. He's like, we're gonna be talking about holographic technology. We're going to be talking about building online and in-person marketplaces. We're going to be talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So if you want to get sort of a briefing from experts in the industry on what technology does and doesn't do, this is this is going to be a great show. It's going to be super entertaining, and we've got some really amazing speakers. Starting with Gary Vee. So
Oh, that's so exciting. Well,
yeah.
for those people who didn't get a chance to, or who are listening later, or who didn't get a chance to check that out, I'm going to put the link up a little bit later in our conversation. But, last week I had the chance to interview Alan Gannett, who wrote The Creative Curve. And he had experimented with the process to become an NFT creator and which is, I guess, maybe not oddly, but kind of strangely more difficult than he expected it to be. But once he actually, got involved and went to create it, he went through the whole process. And end of story there is that still trying to figure stuff out with NFTs.
Hmm.
But exciting new things are happening in the world. Speaking of which, we throw out the XR and NFT and things like that, and sometimes we can feel a little bit lost.
Hmm.
One of the exciting things that I saw on your channel, Vivian, had to do with kids
Hmm.
explaining augmented reality. We have a little clip of that. I would love to play it. Is there anything that you want to say before we go into this clip?
Yeah, it this video was inspired by just literally for a number of years now, a very valid question from almost everyone I meet is what is augmented reality? And instead of using gobbledygook, have it, to explain it, I was sitting having coffee with a friend, and she literally said, "Well, why don't you just have kids explain it? Because they are the ultimate truth tellers." And so we did that.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so let's see if we can get this going. And
Hi, I'm Vivian Chan, Global Head of Digital Sales at NexTech AR Solutions. In this video series, we are going to explore augmented reality and explain it in simple terms. The most important question that I often get is, what is augmented reality?
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Just weren't they just adorable? What adorable kids.
I love
I
it.
mean, that was amazing. I don't know how many kids you had to go through to get No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
first,
But
like
amazing.
Tesla literally says the phone can see invisible things, and Nia's like, so how can you be here and there at the same time? Like
Oh
they
my
they see with such
gosh.
clarity, they see with such clarity, children.
It's incredible because the words that they were saying, just what came out of their mouths, it was truthful. It was absolutely honest, raw truth. And the delight that they had with the technology. I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful if all of us were just allowed ourselves to let down our guards and just experience it, explore, and with nothing else that's weighing on us. So amazing questions, amazing answers that came back from that. You know, talking with Tesla and her sister, you know, did you come away from that with, I don't know, like having any different kind of expectation on the way that our future generations are going to be embracing this technology, or what did you walk away from? I don't want to,
Yeah.
I'm leading the witness.
Yeah, no, I've doing this video series, and I've got another one with Colton as well that I'm going to release, next week. It was a real reminder to me that at the core of creativity and innovation, those are words we overuse time and time again, is really finding our sense of wonder and imagination. And it was a reminder that for me to be creative, I need to tap into my 5-year-old, to never lose that, to always find a way to tap into that sense of play and wonder and imagination. Because at the end of the day, technology can be a creative medium. And I really do look at augmented reality as a very creative paintbrush. I always say, you got some paintbrushes. What are you going to paint? What's the experience you're going to paint? What's the experience you're going to architect? And I feel very blessed that I'm working with a medium that is very creative. Actually, not all tech is creative, but this one certainly is.
What do you think is the easiest way for an association executive to just start experiencing, getting more acquainted, better acquainted with the technology?
Yeah, it's sort of 2 simple steps. I would say number 1, just try it. I've got a lot of these augmented reality activations on my website, vivianchannel.com. And so if you sign up, there's a whole library of different activations for product, people, and places that you can literally take your phone, scan a QR code, and just try it out. So try it, very, very, and then it's very accessible, very, very easy. My mom can even do it. I tried it on my mom. She's she's playing with AR now. It's super cute. And super cute. I'm making a video on that actually of my mom using AR.
Oh, I need to see that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
coming up, and it's so awesome. But that's number 1, and then I think number 2 is we are going to be in the near future. I would say by fall or end of the year, there's going to be more easy to use do-it-yourself creation tools for creating human holograms, as an example. NexTech AR is actually starting a fairly exclusive early adopter by application program. So if you want to start playing and making human holograms, we're taking names right now on livestreaminghologram.com. So you can sign up and apply to be one of the first 100 people who will have access to create their own holograms. You can create a hologram of your child and send it to grandma on the other side of the country,
Oh my gosh.
You can, your best friend who you haven't seen, who lives in Europe, you haven't seen her for 2 years. You can send her a birthday greeting, that's fairly where you're in her living room, singing to her. And so those things are pretty much going to help make augmented reality at a mass level, but we're making it easy. It has to be easy. And so we're working to do that.
Wow. I think that's so amazing that, we're just on the precipice of doing, I feel like we've been saying this for so long, but
I know.
but truly, doing some exciting things. And I will say this, when it comes to events, hybrid events, virtual events, I have been seeing, because of the previous year and a half, I have been seeing just an incredible amount of creativity and innovation coming from associations that are trying new things. So it is a good time to be trying these things, you know. When it comes to events, what are some of the things that you know, point different people to check out as far as ways to incorporate different elements of AR, VR, XR into their events?
Yeah, it really stems back to my conversations with different association leaders. Like non-dues revenue is
Mm-hmm.
top of mind for everyone right now. How do we
Mm-hmm.
bring in new revenue streams for the organization that are not just membership dues? Like how do you expand that footprint? I think is probably the most important question that association leaders are going to have to examine over the next couple of years because events are really expensive to run. They're like
Yes.
so
Yeah.
costly. Like, and physical events are expensive, but if now you're like, if your board is asking you to do a hybrid event, it's double the work. It's
Right.
honestly double the work. It's not like one and a half. It's like two times the work. And so, how do you staff it? How do you manage it? And so, the only way you can do that is to increase non-dues revenue. And so, I think my kind of guidance to association leaders, and again, we kind of co-created the strategy together, working with association leaders, which was like, okay, so level one is selling VIP ticketed events, selling merchandise, selling master classes potentially. So you can kind of make money off of like, converting to kind of a mini ecom model for your association. Level two is giving existing sponsors more inventory of things that they can sponsor. So could they sponsor a banner ad within your hybrid event, like the digital portal? Can they sponsor a 3D moment? What other things? Can they sponsor a holographic scavenger hunt that's in person? Where everyone kind of runs around and does this sort of like amazing race kind of stuff. So you need to start to think creatively about creating new non-dues revenue products that you can sell to sponsors. And I think sponsors have budget. Events and association and community marketing is like 40 to 50% of a marketer's budget. They've got the budget. And so I think it's coming up with just kind of really fresh ideas so that your sponsors feel like they're interacting with the audience in cool ways. And so I think that's the future. And then the last level that NexTech has created, and I'm super proud of it because this was our COVID response. We really felt the pain of being at this together. Like we were seeing different events and associations cancel and seeing how stressful that was going to be on the bottom line. Like when you cancel something that was contributing 40% of your annual revenue and not having a replacement,
Scary. Yeah.
that's scary. Yeah. And so what we did was we actually brought in an ad network technology, meaning we now as NexTech, if we will bring in sponsors to an association event. So if you host it on our platform,
Wow.
we want to do our part because we
Yeah.
knew that we were in this together. Like, if we just try to sell you stuff, we're going to sink your ship, right? And so we need to make sure that we find other sponsors that you may not have access to that can sponsor your event and introduce those to you. If they sponsor your digital event, maybe they'll also sponsor some parts of your physical event as well. And we started doing that. And I am so
That's
proud that
interesting.
I'm so proud that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's our way of leaning in to support community and creators.
Well, that's actually really fascinating. I did not realize that about the matchmaking that was going on there. That's extremely helpful because I think that that's always a challenge anyway to identify the best sponsors, but certainly there are people that you have access to that these associations may not have come into contact with before.
Yeah, I've always believed that if I make your problem my problem and we solve it together, that's where the value is. It's not trying to sell you more stuff you don't need, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's a really, I mean, it's an interesting solution. So I need to, the hardest thing about
Yeah.
doing interviews like this is that I want to like dwell and like dig into one thing that I find really interesting, and then I have to move on. So more, I'm going to put a pin in that and come back to it. But that's a really interesting thing to learn that you guys are doing. So one of the things that I've been exploring with people is, I've been exploring how they themselves continue to grow. I talk to amazing people like yourself on Association Chat, have the chance to interview them, and the fact that they do all of these remarkable things, how do they continue to grow? So we're talking about XR, we're talking about tech. And before we jumped on here, we talked about the importance for balance. And so, talking about being able to get away from it all. But when you're looking to continue to expand and experiment and grow, how do you decide what you're going to test out and experiment with? And have you tried everything is there like a bucket list of things that you want to try? Is there Vivian's like list of new experiments that she wants to do with XR, or like what is how do you do this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about my job is that we do kind of get to be like a laboratory that is guided by customer needs. And so the ideas for trying different things out never ends when you listen to the customer and what their problems are. And so it kind of is a little endless. The challenge is prioritizing because everyone's problems are a little different. And so, as a startup, your job is to see what patterns there are. Are 10% of the people having the same pattern? Ooh, if they're 10% are having the same pattern, let's like really solve that problem really well. But if only one person is got this very unique problem and no one else does, then maybe we won't work on that one. And so it really is about prioritizing what to co-create on, because augmented reality is still a fairly new storytelling tool and medium. It does require some level of co-creation. And so we found that we're not just selling a tool, we're also selling a collaborative effort to build something that is going to have meaning and impact. And so that's been the hard, heavy lifting. It requires work on both sides. You don't just buy it and be like, oh yeah, it's ready. It's not a chair. It's not like renting chairs or renting equipment. It requires a little bit more of this like co-creative production that needs to take place. And so my tip is that put a little bit of time in to work with your vendors, your tech vendors, to make sure that they're building it to the outcomes that you want. Is the outcome for learning? Is the outcome for fundraising? Is the outcome for engagement? Make sure that they built it to that spec. And then test it before it goes live.
And then, the testing part is extremely important. We must say, always stress that. Okay, if you had to put your crystal ball in front of you and be the futurist that you are and say, okay, associations in 5 years, this is the way that you're going to be incorporating XR. What do you think that would look like? What do you think that we're going to see in the next 5 years for associations using this technology?
It's funny because my first reaction is that I think the worst is over now, and I think associations are going to come back big in a big way. And I'm not just saying that because this is Association Chat. I've been a volunteer for different associations for 20 years of my career. As much as I've done tech, I've been a volunteer for communities. I think people want personalized content. They want content based on things that they're passionate about and are interested in. You see that there's a shift with how people consume content. Like, people aren't watching cable television anymore. The one size fits all thing doesn't seem to be working. Like, people in the medical profession that are focused on kidney disease want to like convene together and like really figure out how to solve problems there. And so we're seeing like a really like sort of communities of interest will continue to grow, because we don't advance anything if we don't bring the right group of peoples together. And I think we do have I think we're acknowledging now that you got to bring the right people in the room to solve a big problem. And this is the part I'm so grateful to associations, because you're all solving different problems that are important to advancing our human experience and especially now more than ever, right? And so I think associations will continue to grow so long as they find ways to create new value, to bring more people in to solve problems together. Like the fundamentals don't change, but maybe the tool set will. And that's the only difference. It's a slight tweak in the tools and the tech that you bring in to solve the same things.
So I love and we keep hearing the word community come up again and again, and certainly there's been a lot of discussion about community, especially in of course in the association world, but especially when it pertains to events, because I think that a lot of associations expected or experienced their community to really manifest at in-person events. And when those were taken off the table, there was this question of, well, where is the community if it's not happening there? And a lot of focused attention on how are we connecting our members to each other, and not just throwing them into the same spot once a year or several times a year and saying, okay, you're a community. So when you talk about community, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to Vivian? Because it can mean a lot of different things.
So I have a personal aspiration when it comes to community, because I really, my aspiration is that communities start to merge and network and connect. Because I do think that there's an opportunity to get out of our silos and integrate a little bit more horizontally and vertically. And when you bring different people together and diverse people together, great things can really happen. I've seen this. I've been in the social impact communities, in the spatial computer communities. I've been in the tech communities. I've been in the nonprofit communities for a long time, and it's really always there's so much good work to do. But I would challenge everyone to continue to bridge bubbles, bridge bubbles, make your bubble, connect those bubbles, make those bubbles bigger and fuller, because all that energy, when you kind of harness it together or network it together, really has impact. And so that's something that I'd love to see in my lifetime, to see how do we continue to bubble up together. That's a question I'm asking right now.
Yeah. It's a great question, actually. I might have to adopt that question for myself, because I think it's a really good one. One question I've been asking myself is, because there is the association chat community, how is it that I am always trying to, how is it that I'm enabling people to connect with each other, and it's not just pushed by stuff that I'm putting out there? The other question is, what happens when purpose changes? What happens when there is an existing community and things shift to the point where a community's purpose might change? I'm putting that out there not as it's just a thought, because it's something that, I'm always thinking about, especially lately. And I think there are so many questions around community that a lot of us, when we work with community, we don't always stop and really put that thought into it. And where some of the stuff that you're doing right now with purposefully building community and helping to bring community together, I think that it encourages that sort of research, that sort of deep thinking. Where do you want to go in terms of community in the near future?
So I loved what you were talking about. I think one of the things, I don't know if you guys talk about it, but I think a lot of community leaders burn out because it's so much work holding space for people. And so we really need to talk about that, because there's you've got a full-time job sometimes, and then you're volunteering in the evenings and weekends to organize community events or content or learning and all that, and then you got to like remind everyone, and it's like so much work. And I've seen the fatigue. Like I've seen community leaders come and grow, and I think we need to give each other permission as community leaders to say, I can take a sabbatical. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm going to go hard for like 2 years, but if the purpose of the community changes, I might take a break and then give maybe like bring my community to be absorbed by another one. Like another community can kind of take care of them for a little while, and then when I feel like I want to come back, I'll come back, but my community is being taken care of by other people. This is happening to me right now. I started a nonprofit with 9 youth during COVID. I was out of work, actually. Like I had a tech company that was in tourism and events tech.
Wow. Yeah.
It stopped, right? It was like,
Yeah.
done. And instead of getting a job right away, I was like, maybe I should just like hang out with some people for a little bit and figure out. And we started a nonprofit, but and the youth basically said to me, they're like, I want to continue to learn how to be a change maker. I want to continue to learn digital skills, and I want to learn about how to address anti-racism, because as a Black woman or Indigenous woman, I don't know what to say when people say, can I be your ally? They're like, I don't know what to do. And so we were exploring those questions. These kids now have been on the journey with me for over a year, and just recently they're like, Vivian, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired of learning. They needed a break. And so, you know, you got to listen to your members. And so now I've shifted my focus. Instead of providing training and mentorship to them, I'm now like, all right, take a break.
Yeah.
And then some of you want to do other stuff. So how can I support you on the stuff that you do? So we're shifting our mandate quite regularly, and I'm bubbling them with other communities. So it's like, you know, Mohammed, you want to do like more digital literacy. Okay, let me introduce you to these people. And so it's like now moving my community around, actually.
You know what I love about that is that shows a level of, that shows that their trust is well placed with you, because you are continuing to help them the best way that you can, even when it isn't serving some sort of selfish purpose, you know, and it's not driving people directly to your group. In fact, it might be showing them someplace else that they can, but the point is that you are helping them the best way that you can, which in turn earns more trust. And I think that for the long haul, for that relationship in the long haul, they're going to know that they can turn to you, that your voice is one that will provide, you know, guidance that they can trust. I think that that's maybe that long tail, like long-term relationship building that is, it's the part that is the most magical, the most important that exists for a community. But it takes it, you know, that's just something that you cultivate over time. And it's not the sexy rah first push of, oh, we're all in the same spot. It's the part later where it's like, wow, I can really depend on this to be real.
Yeah. And you know, Melody Burringer, another community leader, she always says relationships are the true currency. And I love that phrase, because it really is. And these relationships are not just this moment, but like hopefully longer term. And I think that's why I think community is going to continue to grow.
Oh gosh, Vivian, I could talk to you a whole other hour just about community. Like you know, but you know, the point is that, you know, this technology is here to augment what we are already trying to do. It's here for us to be able to use it in the best way possible. So if people want to connect with you and they want to learn more, and they say, yes, Vivian, I trust your voice, I want to know more, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so there's sort of 2 channels that I'm very active on. LinkedIn, so Red Threads 8 is my LinkedIn channel. I post a lot about things I'm excited about in technology and sort of leadership. I also have a channel, vivianchannel.com, where I will be hosting weekly live sessions where I interview people that are doing cool, innovative stuff. I'll also be showcasing technology in very human ways. So I'm hoping to produce some content to help explain technology in a simple to understand way. So yeah, please support those channels. And I look forward to the conversation. I look forward to hearing from everyone as well about what they want to hear and see and learn. So
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's been phenomenal talking with you.
I've loved it as well. I mean, this is a topic that is close to my heart. So thank you so much, Kiki.
All right. Well, what did you think about this? I mean, is Vivian the best or what? I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I learned so much. I love the work that she's doing. NexTech AR, you've got to go and check out this conference that they're having. It really looks incredible. And so I hope you learned something of value that you're going to be able to continue learning and using and applying day after day. And I hope that this information will help you in your life. Until next time, everyone, keep asking questions to learn every day. Because why? Because as Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. I hope you have a great rest of the week, everyone.